Do you know exactly what you want? How specific can you be? We're going to find out right now why it's so important to be very specific in manifesting your desires and how. Welcome back. This is Robert Meade, your imagination coach, and today you're going to see exactly why and how to be specific in imagining and manifesting, actually realizing your dreams. The Power of Awareness, written by Neville Goddard in 1952, the chapter 23 and story number 8. In my own life, I have manifested specific amounts of money. I manifested where I live, my beach life, currently in the South Pacific and Southeast Asia and the Philippines. And I've manifested my partner with specific qualities. How? By knowing exactly what I want. Notice the qualities of this couple as they applied the Lawofassumption in their lives. The man and his wife in this story have attended my lectures for a number of years. It's an interesting illustration of the conscious use of this law by two people concentrating on the same objective at one time. This man and his wife were an exceptionally devoted couple. Their life was completely happy and entirely free from any problems or frustrations. Now, notice what comes next, because they have a very clear picture in their minds and hearts of exactly what they wanted. Neville continues, for some time they had planned to move into a larger apartment. The more they thought about it, the more they realized that what they had their hearts set on was a beautiful penthouse. Now, notice how specific their desire was in what type of penthouse apartment they were looking for. In discussing it together, the husband explained that he wanted one with a huge window looking out on the magnificent view. The wife said she'd like to have one side of the walls mirrored from top to bottom. They both wanted to have a wood-burning fireplace. It was a must that the apartment be in New York City. Did you take note of those 4 very specific aspects of this apartment? 1, it needed to have a huge window with a magnificent view. 2, it had to have that mirrored wall from top to bottom. Imagine that. And they both wanted a wood-burning fireplace. Also, it had to be in New York City. So they had a clear vision. But notice the challenges involved. For months, they had searched for just such an apartment in vain. In fact, the situation in the city was such that the securing of any kind of an apartment was almost an impossibility. They were so scarce that not only were there waiting lists for them, but all sorts of special deals, including premiums, the buying of furniture, etc., were involved. New apartments were being leased long before they were completed, many being rented from the blueprints of the building. Early in the spring, after months of fruitless seeking, they finally located one which they seriously considered. It was a penthouse apartment in a building just being completed on the upper 5th Avenue facing Central Park. It had one serious drawback. Being a new building, it was not subject to rent control, and the couple felt the yearly rental was exorbitant. Those of you that have ever lived in New York or live in New York or know the prices there understand what they're talking about. Neville continues, in fact, it was several $1,000s a year more than they had considered paying. During the spring months of March and April, notice they continued looking at various penthouses throughout the city, but they always came back to the same one. Finally, they decided to increase the amount they would pay substantially and made a proposition which the agent for the building agreed to forward to the owners for consideration. Now, if you've been paying attention, you'll notice they, up to this point, had really not used their imagination to apply the law of assumption and imagine that they had already lived and already had that apartment in their lives. So this is where we see the difference between just using practical means, all the struggle, all the searching for months and months and months, all the difficulties. They knew specifically what they wanted, yes. But now they're actually going to apply the law of assumption, and this is what makes all the difference. Notice how things unfold. Neville continues, it was at this point, without discussing it with each other, each determined to apply the law of assumption. It was not until later that each learned what the other had done. Night after night, they both fell asleep in imagination in the apartment. Did you notice that? They imagined they were already occupying that new apartment that they were considering. The husband, lying with his eyes closed, would imagine his bedroom windows were overlooking Central Park, overlooking the park. He would imagine going to the window the first thing in the morning and enjoying the view. He felt himself sitting on the terrace, overlooking the park, having cocktails with his wife and friends, all thoroughly enjoying it. See how he used his imagination very specifically? He filled his mind. Yes, he filled his mind with actually feeling himself in the penthouse and on the terrace. During all this time, unknown to him, his wife was doing the same thing. Now, several weeks went by without any decision on the part of the owners. Now, this couple didn't give up. Neville continues, but they continued to imagine as they fell asleep each night that they were actually sleeping in the penthouse. I hope you can sense, I hope you can imagine, I hope you can feel the intensity of their desire, that they had that specific desire and they were staying in their wish fulfilled. They were imagining they already had it. Notice how things unfold. They simply happen. One day, to their complete surprise, one of the employees in the apartment building in which they lived told them that the penthouse there was vacant. They were astonished because theirs was one of the most desirable buildings in the city with a perfect location right on Central Park. Now, once more, they knew there was a long waiting list of people trying to get an apartment in their building. The fact that a penthouse had unexpectedly become available was kept quiet by the management because they were not in a position to consider any applicant for it. Upon learning that it was vacant, this couple immediately made a request that it be rented to them, only to be told that this was impossible. Again, another slap in the face, but they stuck with it. The fact was that not only were there several people on a waiting list for the penthouse in the building, but it was actually promised to one family. What in the world? How were they ever to get it? Well, they had been imagining nightly that it was theirs, that they were already living there. Neville continues. Despite this, the couple had a series of meetings with the management, and at the conclusion of which the apartment was theirs. The building being subject to rent control, their rental was just about what they had planned to pay when they first started looking for the penthouse. The location, the apartment itself, the large terrace surrounding it on the south and west and north was beyond their expectation. Don't miss this point, friends. Neville finishes out this story by saying, and in the living room on one side is a giant window, 15 feet by 8, with a magnificent view of Central Park. And yes, one wall is mirrored from floor to ceiling, and there is a wood-burning fireplace. They got exactly what they wanted, and they got it by being specific when they manifested their complete desire. And I want you to develop the belief by testing and practicing the tools that I give you on my website through my videos, teaching specifically how to go through the processes that lead to your manifestations. You certainly can find out much more by watching my other videos on how to use the law of assumption, develop your imagination, and manifest your best life. I do want you to remind you that I am a one-on-one coach, a group coach. I have classes and programs available. Contact me and let me know if you're interested. See in the description, you can actually view live coaching sessions that I've done so you can get a taste of what it would be like to experience my coaching. Also, see my other playlists, and thank you for watching. Imagine better than the best you know, and be specific.